Yo, what's good, YouTube? This is Jay from TNJ, and welcome to the AA playoffs here in the Colorado Rockies franchise. Now, our Rockies team is not doing too well, sitting here at 60-71. So why not just focus on the AA team and see if we can get them a ring? Now, the Rockies are interesting, man. We're kind of just inconsistent, and sometimes we do really well. Like here, you can just see Tapia hitting .318 at this point, and let's see if he can finish the season strong. But then there's other times when we're just like not living up to expectations at all. So I just want to focus on Will Benson before hopping into the AA playoffs. This is the guy we traded for Trevor Story, and he's a pretty good prospect. He's a top 50 in baseball right now, but his first outing did not go as well as expected, playing Washington facing Sterling Sharp, and he ended up striking out 4 times, 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. That was the big issue when trading for him. His vision is very, very low, and I'm hoping that that can develop, but right now it doesn't look pretty for that vision at all. So let's see what he can do versus Joe Ross. Let's see if we can get a hit here as he comes up to the plate now. 0 for 2, 0 for 6 so far in his MLB career. Here he is, a pitch inside. He hits one to right field, and that one drops down the right field line. And that one will be the first hit of Will Benson's career, a double down the right field line in a 5-2 game, his first major league hit. I'm very excited for his future. He's going to be very good defensively. I'm hoping that that vision gets better so that, you know, he's not going to strike out a ton. He led AAA in strikeouts. But here is a pitch low in the 9th inning, and he goes up the box with it. That is going to be a hit right past the second baseman, and he ends up going 2 for 5 in this game, and a pretty good second game for him facing Ryan Harper. And I'm excited for what he can bring to our defense, and really, he has pretty good all-around attributes. I just think that that vision is probably the one thing that is really prohibiting him from taking his game to the next level. But he's still young, still 22 years old, and low 70s overall, and beat potential. So now let's get into the AA playoffs. We have a lot of interesting prospects at the AA level. I think our AA level is 10 times better than our AAA level right now. Zach Veen, Ryan Valade, DeAnthony Pierre, who is currently on the injured list, Ryan Rollison, Eric Pena, who we just traded for, and he is a very good prospect of ours, a potential. He's really 18 years old right now, hitting .319 this season. Now, Trez Jenkins is maybe having the best year of any prospect across the board. .88 whip. We've been missing a guy that really can shut it down out of the bullpen. He has the potential to do it. 34 strikeouts to 1 walk. That is just incredible. Nuki Ray is a power hitting outfielder. He's a guy to watch out for. But then there's Rafael Marchand, who we got in that Kyle Freeland trade. A potential. He's now at 63 overall. He's still got a couple of years to develop, but I'm really hopeful for him. So on the mound to start the AA playoffs is Atlas Luntich, one of our subscriber recruits. He is very, very good, and he led our team in AA in wins this season. And then we face a couple of good prospects in Luis Garcia, who is very, very good, and Nick Decker and Brett Netzer. They will be the 1, 2, and 3 hitters of this team. So we will face the Portland Sea Dogs. Let's see what they do. Here is Luntich on the mound. He starts it out striking out Garcia, who is their top prospect in their organization. Here's Brett Netzer at the plate here in the 3-hole. Ground ball up the middle, and that is Ryan Valade at short. Watch out for him in the future at shortstop. He is a very good defensive player. So let's see what our offense can do. Here's Hitor Takahashi at the plate, leading us off here at the bottom of the 1st inning, and he does draw the walk. So Hitor Takahashi, 91 speed, you know he's a bet to steal second. As that brings up Eric Pena, another A potential prospect of ours. We will send Takahashi on a high fastball, and it's going to be a low throw, and Takahashi does swipe second, but we do actually strike out on that pitch. That brings up Zach Veen, our number 1 prospect, to the plate. He gets a pitch high over the plate, and that is going to be smacked to center field. That one will score Takahashi from second, and let's see what Zach Veen does. He rounds second, heads to third, and a triple for Zach Veen. Now, he's a guy that I have very high hopes for. We'll see if he can continue his good batting at the plate now, because in the regular season he didn't do too well. But here is Toglia at the plate, ground ball to third, and we get 1 run in the first inning. Let's move on to the third inning now. Here's Takahashi back at the plate, hits one to right field. This one could be trouble, and it is a diving attempt by the right fielder. But look at Takahashi, he's thinking double all the way, and he gets there. That is some great base running by him. He is 91 speed. He gets it done in that leadoff spot. So that brings up Zach Veen to the plate now for his second at bat. He hits one to center, and that one is going to be dropped. A diving attempt by the center fielder, and Zach Veen has 2 RBIs in this game. A 2-0 lead for Hartford. I like the start that we're getting from Zach Veen and Takahashi. On to the 5th inning. Here is Decker at the plate. Luntich hasn't given up any runs so far. 4 strikeouts through 5 innings, as that brings up Antonio Flores with a man on second base. A deep fly ball. Takahashi on the run. He covers a lot of ground out in center, and that one will be run down. And he is going to be one of our top prospects in our organization going forward. I'm really excited for Takahashi's future. That brings up Rafael Marchand in the 6th inning with a man on first base, and that is going to be a ground rule double down the left field line. Good hitting by him. Doesn't really have the power, but he actually can hit for average. Ryan Vilade at the plate now. Future at shortstop possibly. Hits one down the right field line, and that one drops in fair, and that one will score 2. Vilade with 86 speed is going to round second and head to third, and it's a bases clearing triple. And he now gives us the 4-run lead here in the 6th inning. It looks good here in game number 1. How about some more insurance? That brings up Lamar Macklin, who goes to left field, and now it's a 5-0 game here in the 6th. And what a good showing by our offense here in game number 1. The Portland Sea Dogs haven't had any offense in this one. As we move on to the 9th inning, we bring in Kingston Hendricks out of the bullpen, and he gets a ground ball to first. That one will be 2, and we will win game number 1. Atlas Luntich pitches a great game. Zach Veen at the plate, Marchand, Vilade, all of our young prospects come through in this one. And we end up winning 5-1 off of 9 hits. Only gave up 6 hits, but Luntich struck out 5 and only allowed 6 hits through 8 innings of work. 1 earned run. So Portland does end up winning game 2, and now we move on to game 3 to face the Sea Dogs again. This time they're at home, so they have the home field advantage. Here is Connor Seabold on the mound, 23 years old. He's a right-handed pitcher. Let's see if we can get it done here in game number 3. So here is the great leadoff hitter for our AA team, Takahashi back at the plate. He's going to lay one down. Look at this bunt. And wow, what a bunt. The defense was playing back, wasn't expecting that. And a perfect laid bunt. Look at that thing just sit on the infield. And Takahashi is definitely not going to get thrown out at first. So he does swipe second. So now he's on second base. Here is Zach Veen back at the plate. And this is how you do it. Get your leadoff man on first. This is what we need at the MLB level, a great leadoff man. I like Garrett Hampson a lot, but he doesn't really hit for average or does not get on base as good as what I would have liked. So now that brings up Michael Toglia at the plate, and he swings and misses at that pitch. But we do take the 1-0 lead here in the first inning. On to the 6th inning now. This is Ryan Rollison on the mound. He does get the start here in game number 3. His 85th pitch is going to be a liner up the middle, and Portland eventually ties this game up at 1 apiece. So their 3-hitter Brett Netzer at the plate with guys on the corners here. 2 outs and a swing and a miss on that one, bringing it full. Brandon Gold comes out of the bullpen in this one in a 3-2 count. It's going to be a ground ball, and that one will get us out of this inning. John Storm throws over to third, and now we move this one on to extra innings. In the 11th, here is Zach Veen at the plate. One more time. How about the clutch hitting of Veen in this series? He brings in Takahashi again. And how about this combo of Zach Veen and Takahashi? 4 RBIs from Veen, 4 runs from Takahashi here in this series. That one gives us the 2-1 lead. That brings up Michael Toglia to the plate, who can play first base and outfield. And he gets a 2-1 pitch. It's a hanger right over the middle, and that one will be gone. over the center field wall. The pitcher lays one up for Taglia, and he does not miss. And there we go. It's a 4-1 lead here in the top of the 11th, and now we have a chance to close this one out. We bring in the closer, Trez Jenkins, and he gets a 1-2 count on the final batter of the game. Liner out to Ryan Vilade, and we do get the victory, and we end up taking care of business here in this series altogether. We end up winning 4-2 in this game, but we end up winning in 5 games total. So we will move on to the championship series in our division here, and we will play Altoona Curve, and we actually go 5 games with them. But there was an MLB The Show update, and it actually ended up messing up this entire series. I was going to play this entire series and see what happens, but you can just see right here, the game crashes, so I wasn't able to play this game. So we found an alternative. We actually quick manage. I got it not to actually freeze on me or crash on me. So I finally got it to game number 5 in the championship series. I'm sorry I couldn't play the entire thing. But we bring in Kingston Hendricks here in game number 5. It's a 1-1 game, bases loaded. So facing the curve, here's a first shot right to Vilade. He snags that one, and 1 out here in this inning. So a ground ball will get us to extras here, and here is Sammy Ciani to the plate, hitting .318 here in the playoffs. Here's a 1-2 pitch, and that one is just out of the zone. He does not fish for that one. It's a 3-2 count now. And that is going to be a low pitch, and that one will walk in the game-winning run. Altoona Curve take home the championship here in AA. And I feel cheated. I feel cheated because we did not get to play this series pretty much at all. I tried to play it like 10 times, and it froze or crashed every single time. And MLB The Show San Diego Studios got to fix that. I didn't have a problem at the major league level. I'm not sure why it was just the minor leagues, but we end up losing the AA championship. So now we hop to the MLB level. There is 1 game left on the schedule. Let's just see how our team is doing. 70 wins on the season. Let's see if we can close it out with a win here on the road at Chase Field. Here is Brendan Rodgers at the plate. Let's look at some quick highlights, and he gets a hit up the middle. Now he's a guy to really look out for. I think spring training is going to tell us a lot because I'm going to have an open competition right now as our roster sits, if we don't bring in anybody else, between Brendan Rodgers and Ryan Vilade. I think they're our best 2 shortstops, and I think that right now, I think that's going to be the competition there at that position. But we do actually not do well in this game. I mean, it was just a bad pitching performance by German Marquez. You can just see he gave up the 2-run double here. But look at Charlie Blackmon in left field. He is such a bad fielder. I mean, we've got to hide him in some type of way. But left field is where he's going to move to full-time next season. So that brings up the next batter. That's going to be Walker, who hits one past the shortstop and past Blackmon. Another one of those blunders by Blackmon. Will Benson playing in center field. He comes up throwing, but it's a 4-0 game. So you can just see, I don't know what we're going to do with Blackmon. He's either going to be left field or even first base, to be honest, because we need somebody else there. Here's Cole Calhoun up the box, and he gets a hit. Runner's going to round third, head home. Look at this throw by Will Benson, probably the throw of the season right there. And that's why you make that trade for a good defensive outfielder. And then Benson just absolutely puts it on the money. 2-4, or 4-0 actually here in the end of the third. But we end up coming to the plate next inning. Will Benson, let's see what he can do. He hits one hard up the middle, and that is just going to be a line out back up the box. Now, I'm excited for the future of Will Benson. I think I might start him at AAA next year just because I want to get that vision up a little more before moving him up, but we'll have to see. So here is Brendan Rodgers at the plate here in the 5th inning facing Bumgarner. He gets a pitch on the outside part of the plate, and he goes with it. It's a home run for Brendan Rodgers. I like Brendan Rodgers. He's only hitting in the low 200s, but I think that, he has some potential. He's still got that A potential. He's going to be in his mid-20s next year, and we'll see what he can do. He's a guy that we're really banking on, to be honest, and I said it's going to be probably an open competition. I think I'm going to hold true to that. And just because we let go of Trevor Story, I think we're going to have a hole there. So I'm going to leave it up to whoever performs better in the spring. Valade is a very good defensive shortstop, so he's going to be a guy that's definitely going to compete with Rogers just off of that alone, because you definitely need the defense there. And Rogers isn't as good as Story there. Obviously, Story is one of the best defensive shortstops in the league. But here is Matt Kemp, who we signed in free agency to finish the season with us. He goes deep, and that's our lasting impression of this season. Matt Kemp, I don't think he's going to return at all. He's going to be probably in the mid-60s come next year. He still has a good bat, though, but I think he could retire. He played with Colorado in that shortened season in 2020, and now we re-signed him again. A good bat at the end of the season, but we end up losing our last game, and we end up winning 71 games and losing 91. And this was kind of a rebuild year. I think next year will truly be a rebuild year. We're not going to compete next year. We're not going to make any big free agent splashes. Hopefully we get some good deals, but we're obviously not going to spend $200 million, $300 million. Probably going to spend exactly what the Rockies in their past have spent. The only time they've really spent a lot of money was on Nolan Arenado. He had the richest contract, but we don't really have anybody internal within our organization that we're willing to give a big deal to right now. I don't think anybody's even close to being worth it, but we'll have to see how the offseason shakes out. So we will recap this season now. We end up 71 and 91, and you can just see here are the playoff teams, and it looks like the Dodgers could run away with this. We'll have to figure out if they win it next episode. Now, pitching-wise, I do want to make some changes in the offseason. I don't know what I'm going to do with some of these guys. Marquez is still going to be around. I like him a lot. Do I think he's an ace? No. I think he's probably a number 2, at worst a number 3, but I don't think he's an ace at all. I don't know if I plan on bringing in an ace. I guess we'll have to see who's in free agency, but we're obviously not going to spend, like I said, a whole lot of money. Senzatella was interesting. He was a guy that probably had a lot of trade value this year. He was our only pitcher to finish over 500. John Gray has a renewable contract, but for $6 million. That could be an issue for us. I don't want to, if I can save that money and maybe put it towards another free agent and let go, shed some other money, I think I could spend a little bit on a good pitcher that is not John Gray or somebody else, maybe even Senzatella, maybe offloading those two guys for a guy that maybe is a little bit better than them, maybe in the 80s overall. We'll have to see. Hopefully a young pitcher too. Austin Gomber had a terrible year. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. He might just move to the bullpen. Maybe that will help him out, but as a starter, 158 innings pitched. His strikeout to walk ratio isn't exactly 2-1. It's a little 81 walks to 131 strikeouts, or 82 walks actually. It's not that good. Now, Derek Rodriguez is a guy that I am really, really banking on here. I'm going to continue to groom him. He will be in the rotation next year. He's not a top 3 starter yet, but I think that in our rotation, he's 3 right now, but I don't think he has that, surefire 3 spot in the rotation. We'll have to see. He's going to be probably at 3 for us, but he right now, if you look league wide, he's probably a number 4, number 5. Michael Givens is interesting. I didn't think he would have this bad of a season. He literally had his worst career a year. So I'm going to keep him. I'm not going to trade him or anything, but he's a guy to keep your eye on. I have no idea why he did so bad this year, but he did. And then looking at the rest of the guys, Tyler Kinley was a guy we moved up. He actually did pretty well at AAA. Then I moved him up to the majors for a few innings and didn't do too bad. Greg Bird was a guy I wanted to give a chance to during the season. The issue was that he was hurt the entire season, so he only got 10 at-bats. He did go hit 500, though, so I'm going to keep him around, see what he does. I might have him at the MLB level to start next year. Charlie Blackmon hit 312. He was excellent this year, and he's going to move to left field full-time next year or first base. I don't know if it's going to be first base because he needs to learn the position, but I think it's going to be left field. If I had to choose right now, it's probably going to be left field. How about Elias Diaz, though? 30 years old, a 72 overall catcher. He hit 294. I mean, that is an excellent season from him. He platooned, which helped him too. But I'm going to have to probably get another catcher to platoon with him because Dom Nunez had the lowest average on the team. Jonathan Daza will start in center for us next year. Will Benson, like I said, the plan is to start him at AAA, then move him up. We'll have to see. If he has a hot spring, it might be hard to keep him down, but we'll have to see what, the outfield looks like. Charlie Blackmon's going to have a spot. Daza's going to have a spot. And then there's also Hilliard, along with other guys that will compete for that right field spot. Now, Ryan McMahon was exactly what I kind of thought he would be, a guy that's going to strike out a lot. He's going to hit for decent average. He hit 257. I like what he does right now. I think he will be our starting first baseman come next year if Blackmon doesn't end up moving there. Like I said, I honestly don't know. And then Benson, he hit decently. I didn't give him a ton of at-bats, obviously, to start his MLB service clock. He hit 250, slugged over 300, and we'll have to see what he develops into. That vision has got to improve. Now, Fuentes actually ended up hitting pretty poorly to start the season. Got his average back up to about 270, then dropped back down to 240. He's an interesting guy. He hit 12 home runs this year, and his on-base percentage isn't great. And he just is kind of a clone of Ryan McMahon. I think they're kind of very, very similar, which is something I don't like. I think I'm going to have to end up picking between the two or keeping one unhappy on the bench. Now, Garrett Hampson, I need to see some better on-base percentage from him, especially if he's going to be our leadoff hitter. So he's a guy to watch out for. He's got the great speed, but speed isn't everything. It's great, but if you can't get on base, what's the use? Sam Hilliard, his on-base percentage was only 302, which is something I definitely want to improve on. And if we can get an upgrade over him, I think he could be one of the first guys to be on the trading block, especially if it provides back some pitching. So, like I said, I have a plan with Will Benson, and Sam Hilliard, his time could just be up due to just having a guy that's under him that's a little better. Now, I like Tapia for depth. He is a little bit of a better fielder, I would say, than Hilliard, and he did actually have an on-base percentage that was very, very low, so something to be worried about a little bit, but I think he's still got, some years left in him, especially since his contract looks good. He's 27 years old. He's not old. He's not super young, but still has that, potential as an MLB player. I think it may have just been a down year for him. We'll have to see. Brendan Rodgers, we already talked about him. He's interesting, but the guy to look after him is Ryan Vilade. His hitting ratings aren't bad. He went up +8 this year in power versus right, which was very, very impressive. And he hit 290 in the playoffs, which is very good. His on-base percentage was 353. So let's see what he does in a full year once again in the minors. And maybe, like I said, in spring training, if he ends up outperforming Rodgers, he could end up taking that spot. Eric Pena is also interesting. He is a young outfielder, but he's at least got a whole year at AA again. Zach Veen, the same. He's got probably a whole year at AA again. We'll see what he can do. He's got a good arm. He's going to develop quite a bit. He got hurt in the playoffs, which he didn't play in that championship series, but we'll have to see what he develops into. Now, one guy I kept at single A the entire year was Zion Storm. I have not followed him really in his progression this year, but looking at it now, vision went up +11. That was something that I was hoping that Will Benson would do. Look at that, +11. That is the best progression that I've seen out of all of his attributes here. Michael Toglia was interesting. You saw his power on his bat. He's going to be a guy to look out for as well. He's a first baseman. He can also play the corner outfield, and he isn't the greatest of fielders, but he could be a guy that can eventually take after Charlie Blackmon in left field. Who knows how many years Charlie Blackmon will even be at the level of the MLB, because remember, these guys can retire at any time. I don't think he will, but it's obviously possible. Some other guys to look out for are Rafael Marchand and Brian Simmons. Simmons is a guy I kept at A ball. He started out the year 59 overall. He got up to 62. Now he's going to be at the AA level next year. And Hitor Takahashi. This is probably he probably has the best chance of any fielder of going to the majors that we haven't talked about that's not Will Benson, because he's 69 overall. He's right at that level where it's like, all right, now you're at AAA. You could possibly make an MLB run. I guess we'll have to see what he does in spring training and see if maybe that leadoff spot, it could be open to him. Because remember, I've already complained about Garrett Hampson and getting on base. Hitar Takahashi could be there as well. Now, Teixeira is an interesting player. He is a right fielder, plays all the outfield positions. He's got great power on his bat. We'll have to see how he develops. D'Anthony Pierre was hurt for a lot of the year, so his development was kind of hurt, but he's still up to 67 overall, beat potential, still 19 years old. Watch out for him. Probably still a year or two away, but he's still got some good potential. Jacob Miller is an interesting subscriber recruit. He is a C potential, 23 years old. We'll see what he develops into. Mike Salucci is one of our best prospects as well. He is a lefty. I like having lefty prospects. And then obviously Trez Jenkins. He has a shot of getting to the MLB next year. I don't think it will be right away. I do not want to ruin his progression here. We'll see what happens, but he had an excellent year. What was it, 34 strikeouts, 1 walk as a closer at AA. I mean, that is amazing. And then there's Noah Sayer, who we will also look at next. He is very good. He's got a chance to actually be at the MLB level next year at the beginning of the year, because look at his stats. He's pretty good. So that's going to do it here. Now, next episode, we should be hopping into the offseason. I'm going to recap a couple of things before starting the offseason next episode. One are the top players in AA and AAA as far as subscriber recruits around the league. Also, handing out awards. I will have 3 awards. It will be Minor Leaguer of the Year. That will be a +5 in potential. Reliever of the Year. That will also be +5 in potential. And then I think I'll have Pitcher of the Year. That will also be a +5 in potential. And one guy cannot win it twice, so it will be 3 different players. I'll have to evaluate the stats and see who did the best, but we'll have to see how that goes. So let's see what happens here in the offseason. I'm not sure it will be a full-on rebuild in 1 year, obviously. We're going to be realistic with the moves we make, but I like our pieces going forward. Will Benson being one of them. Brendan Rodgers, we've got to see what we get out of him. And then also some other guys like Takahashi, who could be a surprise next year. We'll have to see. Hit subscribe, hit that like button. Episode 9 will be coming up. And actually, that should be 10, actually, in the offseason. So stay tuned for that one. Let's get it. Let's go.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tenant. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.